Hello, good morning. I swear, I get more and more high pitched every time I say that. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Reading FC Gobcast. Today, it is all about F1. Exciting week. The start of the new season happens this weekend. But before we get into that, we will be talking about Drive to Survive. The little bit of our review of that, and then we will go on to our. So, Niall, today has sent me his predictions. And also, he doesn't know, you guys that have been watching this know, if you've watched this before or not, know the forfeit. He doesn't yet. And
Right.
we've been talking before. So he has no clue. He will find it out during the podcast. And then what we will be doing is we will review my predictions as well that I did back in January. I think I did mine. We did ours. Connor will be sending it because he did his, but Connor will be sending his over. We will be doing a graphic for each person and releasing it all over our social medias. So don't forget, with that, down below in the description is a link to all of our social medias. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the, high pitch, and go and click the bell to get instant notification for when we go live. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts, don't forget to go and click the follow on there, or subscribe, I think it's called, on Apple Podcasts, where you will get a notification for when we go live. So, yes, let's get into it. Let's get it. Niall, how are you? How are we all? And how are you been?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. It's been a busy old week. I think as I said to you
Hmm.
before, I'm taking some time out to look after my daughter for a couple of months. So that has been full
How
on.
old's your daughter?
She's 9 months now. I think she's 10 months
Hmm.
later this week, and she
Hmm.
should probably know that. But
I
anyway,
ain't got. My son
that's
is,
the one.
according to my partner, my son is 21 months. I go one.
I haven't got a degree to work that out
No,
between 1 and 2.
I ain't got Scooby. My
So yeah,
daughter's four. My son's one. That'll do me. That's about it.
it's been a busy old week, what have you. But like you say, it's race week.
Mm.
Can't help but get a little bit excited, can you? And you start to see the tweets coming through. The drivers are getting to the track.
Yeah.
Sort of just little teasers here and there. The journalists are making their way over, and as you touched on, you've got the Netflix documentary or series
Let's
that's coming.
let's get into that. Have you watched it all?
I'm up to episode 7, I think. So
You
I've
got
just
one more.
the Pierre Gasly one, I think, is my most
Ah,
recent.
right. Yeah, yeah.
No, oh bloody, I should remember. Just watched the McLaren one. So the
Carlos Sainz. When they're trying to make out that Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris did like each other.
yeah, yeah. I tell you what, that's what I've taken a lot from this is that on the grid you see, so because it was the most recent one or one of the most recent ones, you see like Gasly and Albon or Albon next
Hmm.
to each other on the grid.
Hmm.
And when I'm watching that sort of live, you sometimes think that might be a bit awkward, but you think that was ages ago. They can't really think about it. It's just
Yeah.
it must just be a part and parcel of it. But they do, and it
Mm.
does still bother them. And like Gasly was channeling all of that from what had happened before into
You
that
could
Monza race.
what I don't know what you found, but what I found, let's talk about Gasly. But going from him, what I found about that about him is I don't think he will be a Red Bull driver at the end of this year. I mean, in total, I don't think he'll be with AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso, whatever they're called now, and I don't think he will go in Red Bull.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I think Red Bull with I keep getting. I don't know why. So I'm going to say this now before I do inevitably say it. I've always for years got Sainz and Perez mixed up. I don't know whether or not it's because they've just been around for so long and what have you. But I think with the Red Bulls with Verstappen and Perez, I think he is going to give them. He will give Max a run for his money. I think. I
yeah,
think Max is still going to be there, but you're not going to. Yeah, that driver lineup isn't changing, and I know we started on Drive to Survive, but just on that Max bit and the Red Bulls, if this Verstappen clause appears in
hmm
Hamilton's contract, Hamilton's done a 1-year deal. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that actually maybe Max is going to make his way over to Mercedes at some point. And
Yeah.
if he wants to guarantee a challenge for a world title, that is where you go at the moment, isn't it?
It'd be interesting because I think if he does go to Mercedes, I think it will be George Russell as number 2. I don't think it will be Bottas. I
See,
can't see Bottas
it's
staying there.
interesting with that. I think Russell would be a number 2 to Max. I know
Yeah.
that Mercedes love Russell, and I know that they've invested a lot in him, like McLaren and like McLaren Mercedes did with Hamilton. He's only ever raced with a Mercedes engine, hasn't he? So, but they have ploughed into him. I think that's similar with Russell, but you know, it'd be a good driver lineup, wouldn't it? Russell and Verstappen. But anyway, we've jumped massively there, haven't we? But yeah, that is Drive to Survive. Yeah, Gasly, I'm with you on that. I don't think he's going to get back in a Red Bull.
And I think Albon will take Gasly's place at AlphaTauri.
Yeah, that's not a bad. Isn't it a bad shout? Because Albon's at Red Bull as test driver, I think, isn't he?
He's a reserve.
Still there, yeah.
But he's also doing off track, isn't he? Doing the car one, not the Formula One, like an actual car.
Yeah.
Race. I can't remember what he's doing, but he's doing that one. Another one that I found interesting was how open and honest Christian Horner was.
Yeah, it's almost refreshing because you and I obviously talk a lot about football. And football, it isn't like that. No. It's almost, you know, you can't call your players out in public, and you can't say that so and so had a bad game or something as the manager, because for lots of reasons that or perceived reasons, you know, ranging from mental health just to rattling the changing rooms a bit. But they don't seem to care about that in well, I can't say they don't care about mental health in Formula One, but they don't seem to care about winding each other up, or they use it as a bit more of a.
No, I don't think they care about what's it called in football. It's like player power. I think everyone realizes in F1 that you are replaceable.
Yeah.
So you just have to do it, and that's what I found. What I found really interesting, with the whole series was Sebastian Vettel, the Vettel episode, where the guy, I don't know who he was, and it doesn't say his name, goes, let's not joke about Spa or the Belgium, and he went, why not? It was a joke, all of it by itself, and I went, oh, he has no filter time now.
He's earned the respect to do that, though, hasn't he? He's got 4 world titles, or 4 world titles, and he can say that, and he can do that. He's been there and done. I loved how Vettel was with them towards the end, because I think they just both. It had come to an end. It was a relationship that wasn't going to go any further. And,
I think
Charles is brilliant. In fairness, I mean,
do you know what?
He is a good driver.
So there was 2 things that I got from. I watched season 1 to 3. I wanted to do all of them. And do it all back to back to get it in. And what I found really good and really I don't think satisfying is the word, but I can't think of the word, was when I saw Vettel and Christian Horner talking, and they were walking down, and it's like, old times. And then when I watched the stuff about Leclerc as well, right, I haven't been a Leclerc fan. I didn't get the hype around Leclerc. I didn't get it. I was very much trying to wonder why. I just thought he was an easy thing that they could do. But then when you look at the stats of what people are talking about, he's the first Ferrari driver to ever get a 5-year deal. Ever.
His contract in Ferrari driver history they've given him.
And not only that, he's one of the fastest in a good car, and he was, even in that Ferrari that was a tractor. He actually did really well. So I get the hype, and I think the one thing that I would criticize Drive to Survive, I think it was absolutely fantastic overall, all start to end. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute of it. The one thing that I would criticize is they didn't focus on George Russell in the Mercedes.
No, they didn't do that at all, did they?
And that annoyed me.
I haven't got to that episode yet, but I know that didn't happen.
No, literally nothing.
He said, I've watched Drive to Survive, and this is the only bit that I'm in. And I think that is a bit harsh, because that was a huge moment in in Formula One in general, because how
Mhm.
many people have been saying about Hamilton,
Yeah.
anyone in that car, and they'll do a good job. Well, you've taken someone from a car that's 3 to 5 seconds a lap slower, and lo and behold,
Mhm.
he's, bar a terrible pit stop,
Oh.
like that was the cynic in me at the time. Just thought, you know,
Yeah.
is this, is this legit, or is this a
Mhm.
we'll do everything? But because they had the constructors wrapped up, it didn't really matter. And what does it look like for Hamilton if the driver from the slowest car then comes in and wins in his
Mm.
car? Does it take anything away? It's not going to make people think Hamilton's a bad driver. But yeah, it was a shame that he wasn't featured
There's
a bit.
there's a bit that you're gonna get to, which I think is probably the most spot on. Would spot on be the right word? Um, Poetic, absolute, artistic, all of it was once it goes through it all. There is a bit right at the end. I think the last 5-10 minutes. I think of it is, and they sit down with Lewis Hamilton, and they talk about Black Lives Matter, and they talk about all the issues, what he's doing, and just the way he talks, it made me sit there and really listen and go with it. Look, we all know what's happened over the past year, um, and let's be honest. If people don't understand what it is, and people think that it's just, see a lot of people say that they're just doing this for attention. See a lot of that. Okay, football at the moment they're doing the kneel before the game. And there was that incident in the Rangers game recently with Glenn Kamara, who got racially abused by the Slavia Prague player. That happened as well. And look, if you think that they're doing it for any sort of thing like for attention or anything, I think you really need to look into why they're doing it and what's been going on. Listen, I'm at the age where, and it's probably with Niall as well, at the age where there were certain things back when I was younger that was acceptable that is now vilified by a mind. And do you know what? If you look back at it, yeah, I don't think you can ever change the past of what's happened. You just need to change the future. The part,
Yeah.
as I always say to my partner, everything happens for a reason. There are certain things that happen for certain reasons and doing it. Now we're all open our eyes to the certain things. We all can see what's happened with Meghan Markle. That's a whole fucking topic on its own. And everything that's been going on with that. But people, I think, really need to be educated more. And Lewis Hamilton said a sentence that really got me in a way. He goes, "People are not born racist. You're taught it." And I don't know what you think, and I'll get your opinion on it. But that hit the nail on the head for me. It's not you don't, excuse the graphic nature of the way of doing this, come out of the womb and go racism. It's the people you're around. It's the people who do things and say things and the little jibes, the little things, and all this and all of that. Yeah.
The principal thing is, and that is a massive thing, because there was I was part of a conversation earlier in the week around certain words and certain phrases that were potentially acceptable years ago, and my view on it was
I saw that conversation.
actually,
I was watching that
I
conversation.
don't think that anything was ever acceptable to everyone by any stretch. The
Yeah.
people that were subjected to those names or words or whatever it may have been, they were never accepting that. It's just there was never a place in society that they could actually stand up and say this isn't right without just being crushed. And it is difficult, because there is, stop being racist. It's pretty easy. You and I can sit here and have a
Mhm.
chat, and it's quite easy. Look, we're not being racist. It's
Yeah.
really easy to do, isn't it?
It's not
Um,
difficult.
but I think what it is it's not even necessarily that calling people names or words or anything like that. It's the stuff. It's as well as
Yeah.
it's stuff that people don't realise is racist or discriminatory at all, that they do subconsciously, and that is also a massive problem as well. So I can't knock anyone for sort of bringing it to the sort of attention of whether or not it's on the football pitch or on Formula One. You need to do that.
So I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
We're going off F1 topic for a brief second because I want to get your opinion on this. Football has been taking the knee against racism, but nothing has changed,
No.
in my opinion.
Well, why would it from that? That's
the thing that I understood why they were doing it, okay, and I understood why they were going to do it, and I understood that awareness needs to happen. More people need to talk about it. I get it. But if you're like, I was very much a person, and you could look through my timeline 8 months ago if you want to, on that link down below. The months ago, where I was very pro taking the knee, where it needs to be done, it needs to be awareness needs to happen. People need to talk about it, and I'm very much that. And what are we now? 6 months into it? 7 months into it, I think now.
We've got players racially abusing other players. It doesn't. I don't think there needs to be a stand, and there needs to be something that draws people's attention to it. But kneeling isn't gonna. It's not going to stop someone doing something. It might make someone, when they're watching Match of the Day, go, yes, you need to be sort of aware that goes on. And do you know what? I'll call it out. If I see someone doing that, it's not right to just turn a blind eye to it or to forget about it. You should call it out. And it will do that, but it needs to be strong. In the nicest, I don't know what the answer is. And God forbid if they come to me asking what the answer is, it's got far. We're in a terrible.
Scooby.
I don't know what the answer is, and maybe that is part of the education in that I don't know what the answer is. So maybe I don't know the full extent of the problem to know what the answer is. I know that I don't racially abuse people or judge someone from how they look or where they're from. And I know that my circle of friends don't do that as well. Is that a problem? Like, are we just blind to the fact as to how much of that goes on and calling it out? But
do you know what? I was watching an episode of Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with racism in it, but they were talking about how to get more women into science. Okay. And I think you could take what Sheldon says and use it with anything. And he goes, Leonard was looking at it as trying to apply for jobs and going through schools and stuff like that. He goes, you've got to think about it as in future, not the past. So what you've got to do is maybe take out the first name and only use your last name, where you can't be judged on if it's a man, if it's a woman, what the first name says. You could tell by the name or whatever. Just judge the last name. So if you apply for the job, then you're judged based on your qualifications. Football's a little bit more difficult because if you're a former footballer, everyone knows who you are. And if you're a Formula One, everyone will know who you are. And one of the things that I would like to see more is more former F1 drivers in doing more around to try and do things. But look,
there is that. But then there is also the bit of are they asking the right people to fix it in the nicest way? As I just sort of said, I know that I don't do that. I know I'm not affected by it. I know my friends don't do it, and I know they're not affected by it. So actually, how am I ever going to come up with a solution for that? And if you're asking people in Formula One who aren't subjected to that, then they're not going to know because they don't know what it is. And Hamilton does have, obviously, he's the only black driver, I think, on the
yeah, he is.
So you've got his view, and he is the only person who can speak from a position of going, this is how it affects me. We can't tell him how it affects him. We can't go, oh, so and so didn't mean it like that, or they weren't talking to you like that. That is how it affects him and how he sees things. So I think there is a case of, are they asking the right people, and are they getting the right people round a table to be able to actually draw up a solution for it? Because unless you've got people who are impacted by it or have been impacted by it, then you've just got, a load of people who think they're doing the right thing, and it could be way wider than mark.
Yeah, I think it's one of those topics that you could do a podcast on its own about and discussing it. And I would love to have someone, if there is anyone on that knows a lot more than what we do, to come on, and I'm happy to dedicate an episode, trust me, to that, to make sure that you can get your point out across, and I'm happy to do that and educate us. If you want to educate us more, educate us, and you will probably educate more people. The reason why I keep looking down here is I'm making sure that I have all the predictions in one place. So when we do it, but no, I completely agree with what you're saying, and it's one of those topics that will be interesting. The next thing on the agenda is first race weekend. Let's get into it. Race weekend. How excited are you for it? And do you don't tell me your predictions, because I've got them here and I'm sorting them out, so not yet, no spoilers. Do you expect any surprises this season in general?
I think there will be a few surprises through the season. I mean, some things you just can't predict. You wouldn't have predicted a Gasly win at Monza last year. I mean, the amount, that is a 1 in a million type. That's almost a Leicester City win in the league.
It is, yeah.
The stuff that had to go wrong for him to be in that position, and fair play to him for the team calls, the tactics that went around that. So there will be things that come up. I am excited for it. I have missed it over the winter. It's again in lockdown. It was one of the things that gave a sense of normality of, there is stuff going on in the world that was going on before. So it is good to have it back. I think it's 4:00 on Sunday, isn't it? It's a nice Sunday.
I think so, yeah. It's a nice Sunday evening one.
So yeah, roast dinner and the race will be on the cards.
I do love a good roast. What's your ideal roast?
So we could do a podcast on this.
Actually. We could.
Take into account the time of year, the temperature. So just as normal, I'd happily, if anyone invited us around for a roast, as a minimum, I'd expect a roast chicken dinner.
That's the minimum. Yeah,
that is the minimum.
Yeah.
For me though, top roast dinner is a nice bit of beef, bit pink in the middle still, and then all the trimmings. You can't do it.
Are you a pigs in blanket man, or is that Christmas?
That's Christmas only for me.
Yeah, that's a treat, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've had pigs in blankets outside of Christmas.
I think Easter maybe was the only other time I've had it. I think
possibly. I'll go back to that and I'll let you know, because that is quite a key thing. I think we
should
probably pigs in blankets, and
we might just do a podcast on food.
Yeah. But it's my Sunday weekend is the race weekend is sorted. I am very much looking forward to it, and I think there'll be some change. There'll be some surprises that come out of testing, whether or not it was people sandbagging, whether or not it was people just had a good weekend, and then all of a sudden it's not there. But
I'm excited to see everyone's face disappointed when Mercedes just go, turn it up.
In the lap and they go,
yeah.
Right. Everyone's faces when Mazepin wins it.
The meltdown on Twitter. The meltdown on Twitter would be unbelievable. Do you know what? I think I would just get popcorn and just scroll through my Twitter feed if that ever happens.
I am a bit. I think we've touched on that. We did touch on Mazepin last week, so we probably shouldn't massively again. But the say no to Mazepin thing, I think that point has been made now.
It's every post. Anything Haas does, it's like there's about 100 comments of we say, look, nothing's going to change. He's in testing now.
Well, and if you watch Drive to Survive,
I was going to say
that he isn't going anywhere for a long time.
Oh, but I found that very poignant. I don't know whether you found that on the Haas episode when he's coming in because of the money, and Mick Schumacher is coming in because we need the money.
Well, that is what it is. That was it. I think it might have been Maldonado as well. He was one who
brought a massive following, didn't he?
Venezuelan, or I can't remember where he was from. So
wasn't he Brazilian?
Massively just grouped together South America from there, I think. But I'm sure he had sort of visit Venezuela or visit Colombia as their sponsor.
Paolo. Oh fuck, where's he gone? Paolo. Venezuela.
No, I knew it was Venezuela. I'm happy I went there first.
Yeah.
I did go
That's the first
Venezuela
choice.
and then check myself. But yeah, but he was exactly like that. People didn't think he was that great, but he came along with enough race pedigree to have enough speed, but also an overall full of cash.
He did. He was at William. He was at Williams and Lotus.
Yeah,
And last year he did the 24 hours in Le Mans.
yeah. Would you think Williams? He's an ideal driver for Williams because they're a private team.
Yeah.
They need the same with Haas. They need that sponsorship, and that's why they've got Mick, isn't it? That like you just touched on. That's why they've got. Is it 1 and 1? I think of the German
Yeah.
sponsor, and
Yeah.
then you've got the so that company that sponsor Mazepan, the Haas team are Haas, and is it Kirau Ural or something like that? Their name is that is the name of the team now.
Let's have a look. Haas F1 team. Full name. Oh, they're called UCal Haas.
That's it. Yeah.
UCal Haas.
So, and that's the company that his dad owns or is a shareholder in. So where Gunther was saying, when you get a sponsor, they want certain things, and I think, well, I just want tickets to each race, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I would. I'll be happy with that. Right, let's go through predictions.
Yep.
Let's go through your predictions.
I've got mine here. Is this for the race?
No, your overall.
Yeah, overall prediction.
Right. So I messaged. Was it messaged you last night or this morning?
This morning, yeah.
Was it this morning I messaged you? So I did a big long thing. No, messaged you last night. Messaged you last night saying it, and then I get a message this morning saying you'll do it, and then you went, "I hate these things. You've set yourself up for massive fail."
There is no. You will look back at it, and I'm looking at it now, and there's rhyme or reason behind why everyone is where they are. But you know that you just can't. And like I said, as we said before we start recording, I keep calling Alpha Tauri Toro Rosso, and they haven't been Toro Rosso for about 4 years.
Yeah, they've been on for a while. Right. So what we're gonna do, is we're gonna go through the constructors championship. What you've done, we're gonna compare it to myself of what I did back in January, and just before we get into that, the forfeit.
Yeah.
So the forfeit now is whoever is bottom has to make a video that will go on YouTube, and it has to be 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And you have to explain for 5 minutes each why the other two are the greatest people that have ever existed on this earth. And that will go on YouTube forever.
Yeah, that's it. Then you're done, aren't you?
Yeah. By the way, I've done 3 of these fucking videos already. I've lost 3 times. Not again. I refuse to. By the way, when you see Connor's, when he sends it over, predictions, okay, you will work out why he will be last.
Right, okay.
Right? Do not worry so far. You will work out why he will be last. Right, let's go through yours. So I've got it here. I'm going to read them out, and I'm going to go to 10 to 6. I'm going to get you to explain why, and then we will go up. So your 10 to 6 is you got Haas, then you got Williams at 9, fucking Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo. Then you've pulled it, Toro Rosso as well. I'll give you that.
Old school.
Then you got Alpine, the German head shampoo, and then that's what you got. Why have you gone for those?
I think Haas. That's another one. They need to do a thing on how you pronounce their name, isn't it? They're two rookie drivers, and as good as they are, I think they're just gonna struggle. They struggled last year. I think they're gonna struggle this year as well. Unfortunately, similar things for Williams. This isn't, and when you're in these teams, as we just touched on with George Russell, the driver isn't necessarily the problem in a number of these teams. They just haven't got the budget or the speed to be able to get up there. So I don't think it is necessarily a reflection of them, of their drivers in totality. Maybe Haas, because they are two rookies. Clearly, they know how to race a car, though. So those two down there. Alfa Romeo, I mean, it does pay me to put them down there because I love Kimi so much.
Yeah.
A lot of love for him. But again, I just can't see them. When you then look at who's above them, I can't make an argument for any of them to be behind them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that where they got to last year, where they were looking at in testing, I think they're going to need a bit of luck to get up there. The Alpine, and I know it's Alpine we got to 9876, and then I think that's where it is. It does get quite tasty there because you are the Alpine upwards. That is where it's
right. Let's go through them. Number 5, Aston Martin. You've gone 4, Ferrari. You've gone 3, McLaren, 2, Red Bull, and number 1, you've gone for the silver arrow that's not silver anymore, the Mercedes. Why have you gone for those ones?
You're going to need your head testing if you haven't gone for Mercedes, I think, to win the constructors. I haven't seen anything that. Why wouldn't?
Yeah, no, I agree.
What is you're going to need an absolute incredible season of bad luck for both of them. I mean, even if Hamilton wins 90% of the races, they're still probably beat Red Bull. It's going to be, even with Bottas not getting any podium. So that, I think, is there. Red Bull, Max, and Perez are just, there you go, I forgot his name again. I was
waiting for you to call him Sainz then.
That is a good team. I think that is a good driver lineup. And I think Perez is being lined up to be Red Bull's number 1 at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe there could be a curveball. Maybe you do see Mick Schumacher. Maybe you see a real curveball. Maybe you see Russell end up there before he goes to Mercedes. I think that's probably extremely unlikely, but maybe we're going to go for that. McLaren in 3rd is probably my most controversial choice, I think, because that is assuming that Ferrari haven't recovered from last season. Haven't managed to get their cheating ways. Sorry, they're not cheating ways back in. They're very legal.
Very legal, but no one knows how it's not legal.
Exactly, and they just can't use it anymore. And now their car was slower. But McLaren are there probably through heart more than head. I love Ricciardo. A lot of time for Lando, and I think the two of them will pick up some points. Lando showed last year that he can race properly. He's got his podium, so I think they'll be up there. Ferrari, Aston Martin, and Alpine, they are the tight ones. That is anyone's guess. I think that's going to be an almighty battle, unless one of them has got something in the bag that we haven't seen or develops mid-season where it comes out. But I'm not too worried about the constructors' prediction.
It's interesting because I've just looked at yours and I'm comparing it with mine. We agree on 6 out of the 10 final positions. Okay, so I went for 10 Haas, whatever you want to call it. 9, or as I'm now going to call it, the Mazepin family. 9 Williams. I went for 8 Alfa Romeo. 7 Alpine. 6 AlphaTauri. 5 Ferrari. 4 Aston Martin. 3 McLaren, Red Bull, then Mercedes. The reason why I went for Aston Martin was because it's Aston Martin. That's literally the only reason why I got it higher than what it was. There is no rhyme or logic why I went for. But I can see. I think it's going to be. Look, I think it's going to be Mercedes Red Bull fight. I think McLaren are going to get closer to Red Bull than they're going to be to 4th. I think Ferrari, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri and Renault now are going to have a fight. this season for it. I think that's going to be interesting, and I think the bottom three, the Mazepin family, Williams. I think I might just call them that from now on, actually.
The
And
Alpine will get up there if because what is missing and what we definitely haven't mentioned in the last couple is how good of a driver Alonso is.
he's just
And
come
how
back and just been better than what he was before.
exactly and how consistent he was in pre-season testing
Mm,
as well. He's an absolute monster. So I think we will know how fast that car can be by how Alonso. If Alonso is bottom and last every race, that isn't because he's got his left and right hand mixed up. He
yeah,
knows he is an absolute beast when it comes to it. So that is going to be the difference, and that could be the difference between. You see how close the midfield was going into the last race of the season last year. There was sort of fourth, fifth, and sixth was
mm,
still up for grabs, and I don't see that being any different this year. I do think it will be between those. Ferrari can't afford to keep having bad seasons, though, can they?
no, they can't. I'm just looking here let's have a look. Let's compare yours. So I'll read your 20 to 10 one, and then I'll read my 20 to 10, and let's compare them.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, let me just stop at 10. Well, I've got Marzipan in last.
Yes, he remembered.
Schumacher, Latifi, Russell, Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Sonoda, Gasly, Ocon, and Stroll.
Oh, I think we agreed on like 3. So I went on Raikkonen bottom. This was back in January, by the way.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, Raikkonen the bottom. I am tempted to change, but I said that that's set, so I'm sticking it. So at this time, I put Raikkonen bottom, Mick Schumacher 19th, Latifi 18th, Giovinazzi 17th, Marzipan 16th, Russell 15th, Pierre Gasly 14th,
Yeah.
Esteban Ocon 13th, Alonso 12th, Sonoda 11, and Lance Stroll 10.
Yeah.
That's what I went for. Let's hear your 9 to number 3.
So then I've got Alonso, Vettel, Norris, Sainz, Leclerc, Ricardo, Perez, and then Bottas in third.
I tell you what, it's different again. I've gone for Leclerc 9, Norris 8, Vettel 7, Ricardo 6, Sainz 5th, Verstappen 4th, Bottas 3rd.
So I just can't see Stroll outscoring Vettel at the moment.
No, I've got Vettel higher. I got Vettel 7th, yeah.
But then it is all down to that Alpine and what sort of package they've got, what race package they've got together. Because Alonso should be. I could make an argument for Alonso being above Vettel, but I think where I've got the points for McLaren coming third in the constructors are coming from Danny Ricciardo,
Mhm.
hence him being fifth in the drivers and Norris being fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth.
Yeah,
So
I got Norris 8th and I got Ricardo 6th.
yeah, that's where I think their points come from me.
Mm.
I've then got the 2 Ferraris in between the 2 of them. So for my constructors, the points are going to have to come from Ricardo and a bit from Norris for them to outscore Leclerc and Sainz as a team.
Who have you got top 2?
So I've got Verstappen and Hamilton.
I went Perez and Hamilton.
It's not about. I was umming and ahhing about Perez because I do like him a lot.
Mm.
He does know what he's doing, and he's the strongest. I say number 2 driver that Red Bull will have had for quite some time.
Yeah.
Probably.
Wait, I think even
Mother,
before
actually.
Ricardo.
Do you reckon? I don't think he's better than Ricardo in the same car.
Ooh. Yeah. I don't know.
I think Ricardo's deceptively quick and brutal because he's just a nice guy.
Yeah. I think he shocks me sometimes with how sometimes I think the only thing that I really know with him is he's going to send that car into a corner where you shouldn't be putting that car into a corner. Um, that's where I can see it happening.
But I'm with you on one of the Red Bulls being second.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be Max, but for you it's Perez, and
yeah.
there's not a. I can't. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as the season goes on. But I think Hamilton wins it by a pretty penny. As much as Bottas is a good driver, and when you watch anyone listening Drive to Survive, you'll see that he isn't there to make up the numbers. Albeit, I'm surprised he's still there after some of the stuff that comes out in that. Um, he isn't there to just make up the numbers, but Hamilton has just got the number of that car. He just nailed it.
What made me laugh is Toto Wolff has a zero filter,
Yeah,
and I found that him and Christian Horner, you could tell that they get on and off the track because they both just have zero filter. They will just tell you how they feel. They will just get on with it and do it. And you could tell the difference. That you could so tell. I think it's season 2 when Hamilton and Bottas were in the room talking about the car. Just how German that room was. How everything is so pinpoint. Everything is just numbers, and this number needs to be there, and this needs to be this, and it's like, yeah,
I think
German.
I was pretty sad in the episode about Mercedes because Bottas was so it was at the Russian Grand Prix. Bottas wins it,
Hmm.
is on the podium, and instead of the team being there to celebrate, they're protesting against Hamilton's
Yeah.
time penalty. And then when he gets back into the garage or into the motorhome, wherever it was, all the engineers had gone. And
Mm.
he was just there on his own with his manager celebrating. And I think that does.
That was wrong. I didn't agree with that.
And the context of that was when they asked Toto whether or not Bottas is a number two.
He
He
just went
told them,
fuck off.
yeah. And actually, everything in that episode showed that they, rightly or wrongly, do put all of their eggs into the Hamilton basket. And if that's where they think they've got the most chance of winning, then fine. That's what you've got to do as a team.
I
But
think
don't
they've
sit
done
there
the
and
same.
go,
I
"We
think
haven't
that
got number two."
yeah. I think the thing that you can tell is Red Bull do the same. They put all their eggs into the Max car, but they need to learn not to now because Perez is in my opinion, and as you could tell by what I put, Perez is a better driver than Max, and I think Max is very very quick, but I don't think he's got that consistency that Perez does to be up there at the end of the season. I think Max is a future world champion. I don't think he'll get it yet. My worry for Max is when I was watching Drive to Survive. I don't know whether you got this, but the thing that I worried about is if Hamilton leaves in 2 years' time, which I think it's going to be this season or next year. I think everyone's predicting it. That's when it's going to happen. The end of that, you're going to have Max Verstappen, who's going to probably be odds on. If George Russell gets that Mercedes seat, you've then got Lando Norris, who's going to be there, George Russell. You're going to have Pierre Gasly, who's going to be chasing that as well. Sonoda, who looks like a machine. You got Max, that's going to be here. I think when Hamilton does go, and most probably Bottas will go back to Williams. I would love that to happen, by the way. Don't think it'll ever happen, but I love that to happen. And then he goes back to Williams. There's going to be more of a Ferrari. Let's not take away Sainz and Leclerc as well.
Everywhere, isn't it?
There's going to be multiple different winners, and it's going to get more interesting. I think.
The whole drive, like you say, the whole thing will shift because Max, as selfish as they all are, and they have to be because although they're in a team, there's the driver's side of it as well. Max wants to win a world championship, and if you asked him, hand on heart, do you think you'll win one at Red Bull in the next 3 years? I don't think he would say that he would.
I think he'll do all that political. Yes, I think we'll have a chance. We'll fight. But then, if you think about it, I
Yeah,
think Perez and I said this before. I think Perez is going to outshine Max
it's the
by a
biggest challenge
mile.
Max has had, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose Daniel was more established when he was Max's teammate, and Max did show himself to be a better driver than Daniel or faster. I think this one though with Perez is a totally different kettle of fish. Some of the results Perez gets out of that Pink Panther or got out of it
Mm,
were amazing.
yeah.
He is a very very good driver, and I totally agree with. For me, it's just because I think Verstappen has been there and done it, and he knows the team. If all things being equal, the year after next, I would probably put Perez above Verstappen,
Yeah.
but purely on experience of it. But I'm with you. I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly. We'll see how it goes.
Right, let's get into predictions. So Connor, who is unable to be here due to tests, he should be back next week, I think. If not next week, the week after, he will be back very, very soon. So let's go with qualifying. Let's get everyone's qualifying predictions.
Yeah.
So Connor has gone for qualifying for Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas
Yeah.
for qualifying. Who have you gone for?
I've gone for Verstappen, Bottas, and Hamilton.
And I have gone for Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton. I think everyone's in the common sense is that we all think that
Yeah, the Red Bulls.
Verstappen's gonna qualify. But we think, but I think, and we all agree that Hamilton's going to be in the top three.
I think the thing is, from the testing, I think Red Bull have got one lap pace.
Yeah.
They are able to turn it up a bit, and that's all we can go on at the moment.
Do you know what? I would be surprised as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Tsunoda's in the top six.
Yeah, if he makes it into Q3, I think that is looking at it. You're right. Q3 is a bit more wide open going into this. This is probably the most unpredictable year for quite some time. I think.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
quite a few driver changes, and if you look where McLaren were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they've come on leaps and bounds. That actually we think that they're going to be best of the rest after Mercedes and Red Bull. So what's to say that Ricardo doesn't chuck it on third? That's not out of the question. He's got a lap in him. So yeah,
right. So
no for me.
right. So before we get into anything else, we want to talk about the pointing system for this season.
Yeah.
For every correct position you get a point.
Yeah.
What we will then do at the end of the season is match up everyone's predictions to where they got it. So if you've got each prediction correct, you get a point. Every prediction you get right, you will get a point. Every prediction you get wrong, you will get minus points.
Yep.
So it's whoever finishes on top. So we're going to do an overall score, and in December, when the inevitable sleep fest of Abu Dhabi Grand Prix happens, when we can all take a nap during it and wake up at the end, and the driver that was first will still be there. We'll finish it. We will then find out who the winner is. The winner the episode of that. So race day. Connor has gone for Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez.
Yep.
I've written mine down and I don't agree with what I've written. I've just seen my one. I just don't agree with it. I might put shocking.
Who have you gone for?
I might be changing one of them. Right. do you know what? I do this. I see what everyone else is doing and I just throw in just something that's just out there. Right. Am I going next?
I'll go next if you are. I don't know. So I've gone Bottas to win,
Ooh.
Hamilton and Verstappen. I think Bottas got a good start last season as well.
Yeah.
And I think he might get his elbows out in this one and cause arguably a bit of an upset. But yeah, I think it's a Mercedes 1-2 though.
Okay, so I've gone for fuck Hamilton.
Yeah.
Perez.
Yeah.
Ricardo.
It's not, and this is what I'm saying.
I know.
You're linking on. See, this is the thing, isn't it? Because you can't to believe that Bottas or Hamilton won't be in the top three. There's either a crash, a penalty.
I'm just banking off what Bottas did in America, spinning.
Yeah, that's
just spinning as it goes around. But do you know what? I think this is going to be very, very close. I don't think that Mercedes really had their engine on. I don't think they were sandbagging at all. I think they were just testing other things out. Because you're not a team like that and stink like that as bad as what they did during testing and come out the next season and be so bad. I just can't see that happening at all. But I can see Daniel Ricciardo really trying to make a point to prove. Let's be honest, from the past few years, he took a seat away from Sainz at Renault when it was Renault. He took it away from him. And then Sainz is left. He's then taken over his seat at McLaren. And I really do think that he's this year, maybe this year, he's got a point to prove. He's 30 now, I think he says. He's 30 now. He needs to be up there in the top three. He has to be fighting them now, and he has to be proving why. Look, he's one of the best entertainers on the grid, one of the funniest, one of the nicest guys you'll probably meet, and one of the brilliant people that you could do. But there gets to a point where that's not enough anymore. And I think the next 2 years is where he really needs to do something.
Well, unless any of them know, and actually saying this, a lot of them will know a lot of things that you and I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Unless they really know something about the car that's coming in the future, a bit like Hamilton did when he left McLaren to go to Mercedes, and he had a year of sort of mid-table mediocrity. All you're racing to get that Mercedes seat at some point in the future, and you're racing to get, in Ricciardo's case, back into a Red Bull. They're the only 4 cars that have got any chance of winning week in, week out a race at the moment. So unless he knows that when the rules change in the next couple of years, that actually McLaren have already nailed it, and a bit like Mercedes, we've already built this engine, we know what we're going to do, we've got this, we've got that, we will be winning it hands down. Then what are you racing for? You're racing to get into a team that can win races in.
And I think he still has that thing over him that he didn't stay and fight Verstappen. He left. He ran away from a fight, which he says he didn't do. He says he wanted a fresh start, fresh thing, but
he was never going to win that fight, though, picking and choosing.
No.
Max is a bit like Lando is at McLaren to that Zach Brown.
Yeah.
Max is the golden boy.
I didn't realise how close Zach Brown was to Lando Norris until watching that Drive to Survive. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, they are. They love Lando. And same at Red Bull with Max. They absolutely love Max. He is the golden boy.
You can see teams have their golden boys. You've got Alfa Romeo that could have been Mick Schumacher, but looks like it's Antonio Giovinazzi.
He's there for the last 2 years. I'm surprised he's still been there.
Yeah, and then you've got Haas, apart from them. Then you've got Alfa Renault. They've got Esteban Ocon, who looks like they're building the cars around him.
And they've got Alonso in to develop the car, I think.
I think they've got to develop a car and probably develop him as well. And then you've got Ferrari, that's Charles Leclerc, maybe Sainz as well. But Charles Leclerc is the main man at Ferrari until Sainz probably shows that he's better. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I'm very excited for this one because I think from 1 to 10, it's open. And I slightly want Mazepin to win just to see the meltdown on Twitter. I won't even tweet anything. I'll just watch. I think that would be more interesting. But yes, thank you guys ever so much for joining us. Niall, thank you ever so much. You are an absolute diamond. Thank you. We will see you again next week where we will be reviewing the Bahrain Grand Prix and seeing all the talking points and the inevitable win of Mazepin. I'll tell you what, if he wins, I'm saying we called it first.
You need to put a pound on it just in case.
All right, while we're here, I'm going to find out how much he is on to win while we're here by Sky Bet. Where is my Sky Bet? Here it is. All right, let's have a guess. Where do you think or how much do you think he will be on
500 to 1, I reckon. Something like that.
Formula One? The season? No, we not have. They're not doing anything for.
Let me have a look. Let me see if they're on Bet365.
Must be. So I'm so sorry. So they've done Mazepin versus Mick Schumacher, right? Mazepin's 10 to 11 on to beat him. Mick Schumacher's 4 to 5. They think Mick Schumacher's going to destroy Mazepin. Bahrain Grand Prix. Here we go. How much did you say you think he was on?
I said 500, but I've just seen on Bet365 so I'll see what your number is. But
right, so 500 to 1 for Mazepin is fastest lap. He is he's 5,000 to 1 on to win.
He's 1,000 to 1 to get a podium on Bet365.
He's fast. He's the fastest qualifier. He's a podium finish. Let's have a look where he's down. 1,000 to 1. Yeah. Jesus. I might put a pound on. But anyway, thank you guys ever so much for joining us. I need the toilet. But thank you guys ever so much for joining us. Niall, thank you ever so much. We will see you guys next week for the very first race. All love and all care, and bye.